Hello, welcome back to my channel, guys. Hope you're all doing okay. As always, it's Samantha back with another little fun video, hopefully, where we're doing a little bit of faffing with some beads and some wire, as usual. We do like to have a little bit of a foray into bead weaving, as I am learning how to do it myself. So, hope you're happy to come along for the ride. So I'm sat here at my desk this week and my table, and I thought we'd have a look at some gorgeous little links. Now, when I first started making this bracelet, I literally just was making the links and I thought, oh, they would make some really pretty earrings. So we're going to have a little bit of a longer video today, which I hope you're going to enjoy. I will put it into chapters so that if you get bored, you can skip past, can't you? And if not, just join me for a little chat and a catch up. So we're going to be making this beautiful bracelet, like so. Well, we're not going to be making actually the bracelet. I'm going to show you how to make the links and how to link them together. We won't be exhaustive, but how beautiful is that? And little scroll. And then I thought we would have a look at 4 different ways to embellish these cute little links. All right, so I've come up with 4 little ways to make these delicate little earrings. I do like bold jewellery, but I also like to make something that's a little bit more delicate as well. How cute are they? All right, so let's go through a list of materials. Just pop these out of the way for now, like so, and this like so. There we are. So for this, you are going to need, where is my wire? Bear with me for a second. And we're back. Sorry about that. Disorganisation is my middle name. Sammy Disorganised. So we're going to need some 1.25, that is 16 gauge bare copper wire, or any wire if you're choosing. Don't forget, these are just ideas for you. I choose to use bare copper because I like the colour of it. So 16 gauge wire. Let's just pop that out of the way for now because it's a big old chunk of a thing. You're also going to need some 0.4 millimetre bare copper wire, that's 26 gauge, and 24 gauge for a couple of these little bits here. The wrapping is done in 0.4 and the scroll work is done in 0.5. That's 24 gauge, I believe. That's your wires. What else do we need? Let's have a think. You're going to need your tools, so your various array of tools that I'm sure we all have hanging around. I'm going to be using my 6-step bail making plier to make these lovely little links. This is 2 to 9 increments, okay? You can do the 3 to 10. If you have a 3 to 10, they'll just be very, very slightly bigger, that's all. That's no big deal, is it? You're also going to need a variety of beads. Now for this, I'm using, oops, where are you? Come on, little beads. So for this particular link here, I'm using the same bead but in different colours. So I'm using size 3/0. I think 3/0s equate to about 4 to 4.5 millimetres. But I'm using seed beads, so that means that they're sort of rondelle shaped, if that makes sense. So those, I'm using the 8/0 version of the same bead, which is these guys here, size 8/0s. I'm going to be using a little pear dropper bead for this earring. And I'm going to be using some little tiny seed beads, if I can find them. Here we go. 11/0 seed beads. These are Miyuki Turquoise Ceylon to wrap this little pretty thing here. All right, so apart from that, I don't think you need very much else apart from a block and a hammer, which I'm sure you guys have got in your stash at home. So I'm going to clear the table away and I'll show you how I made these pretty little links. All right, so I'll see you in a few. And we are back, my friends. So let's have a look at how we make these. I think I might put a patina on this one, actually. I think that those beads and a patinaed copper would look really, really pretty. Nice in the shiny copper, but maybe, I don't know. I've not decided yet. So let's have a look. I make these, again, in a production line style thing because I just get more consistent shapes. So I suggest you do the same if that's your bag. So you're going to need 16 gauge wire. So take your 16 gauge, I'll just pop that out of the way, give it a bit of a stretch out, like so. And for each of these, you're going to need 6 centimetres. Now I'm using centimetres today, being specific, mainly because that's what I work in. I work in centimetres generally, so I think I might need some new cutters. They're not wonderfully cutty these days. Right, so 6 centimetres of wire per link. So we'll chop that off. Oh no, they're not too bad. I think you just need to get a really good set of snippers, cutters. I've got some really expensive ones and some really cheap ones, and quite often I think the cheap ones are actually better. So anyway, so you have your piece of wire here. Come in with your 6-step bail making pliers. So we're going to be making loops and hoops, that kind of thing. So take your first step, which is 2 millimeters, and create a P loop. We make these a lot in our jewellery, don't we? These P loops, I think they are a staple for a lot of things. All right, so in the same direction, like so. Tip it away from you. And I think I used the 5th, I did, yeah. I'm trying to remember now. I used the 5th step. So tip. So whether you're left-handed or right-handed, just away from you, like so. So they're in the plier thus. So if this is the 5th step, the loops want to be facing that way. Find the centre-ish, and then pull like so. Beauty of it is that you can readjust as you go along, can't you? And I like to put the bottom wire over the top, so the cross over, like so. And just gently manipulate your wire so that you have this little loop thing here, like so. So that these are level. If they're not, which often they're not, just come in and reshape them a little, like so. Easy peasy. All right, so you want to make quite a few of those. Along, you know, make quite a few of them. For my bracelet, which measures, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I've got 9 units here. And I think each of the units measures approximately, let's have a look, about 2 centimetres, which is about 3/4 of an inch. All right, so you can gauge how many you need for a bracelet if you are going to be making one. So we bring in our block. Now I'm not going to do this on camera because it's pretty discordant, isn't it? So you don't really want to be listening to that. So I flatten, not flatten too much, but I sort of hammer the circle a little bit. Don't hammer the cross section, because if you do that, it's going to, the wire will be really thin and it'll just snap. So don't, you know, just go around the circle part, turn it around, and then gently tap on these 2 loops. All right, so when I've done that, I'll come back to you. Right, we're back. So we've done our little bit of tapping, and as you know, when we tap wire, it can sometimes, you know, make the wire spread out a little bit, but as long as you've got this going on and these 2 are level and everybody's happy. So just come in with your pliers if you need to. Just jiggle things around into place, make sure everyone's happy and that everything is nice and level. You know, these are organic things, so they don't have to be absolutely level, do they? So I'm just going to make the 2, all right, for the bracelet, and I'll show you how, you know, how to connect them. Dead easy, really. Right, so you're going to need to take some of your 0.4 26 gauge wire, like so. So I'll just take a couple of shortish pieces, because you know, you wrap these individually, like so. And where are my beads? Where did I put them, Sammy? Where did you put the beads, Sammy? Here we go. So I'm going to just take a couple of these. Very, very pretty beads. These are size 3 pearl ivory seed beads. And I'm going to need 4 of exactly the same bead. 1, 2, 3, 4 in the 8/0 size, okay, which will fit just atop this frame. So all you do, let's pop these out of the way for now so that you can see what I'm doing. So if you lay your wire across the top like so and bend it upwards, we're just wire wrapping over the top like so. If your fingers give out slightly like mine do, then come in with your pliers. So we want 4 wraps, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Let me come in with my pliers like so. Oh, the sun's coming out, how lovely. So this is our little wrapped section here. So leave this little tail out of the way for now. And we're going to be wrapping inside, well, just inside, depending upon the size of the beads, etc. In fact, you could use, I think probably let's have a look. You could use a 6mm, I guess. What have I done with my 6mm beads? Oh, I don't know. I've put them away, but I think you could probably use a 6mm bead in there. I don't think an 8 would fit, actually, but a 6 certainly would. So pop your bead and then your larger bead and then your, oops, yeah, my eyesight is going, there you go. I'm so professional at this, aren't I? So you put your little beads on and then you basically want to come back up and go in the opposite direction. So is that sun going to be a problem? Let's have a think. Let's have a look. Probably not. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, like so. I'm going to hoof through these a little bit, obviously, because I don't want to make it a million years long, this video, because that will just bore everyone. So snip, watch your eyes as always, and snip. Okay, get rid of those little ends, and then you come in and just squidge the ends nice and flat and squidge that end nice and flat like so. I'm wondering whether that sun is going to be problematic for filming. Okay, so there we have our little unit. Bear with me, I'm just going to shut the blind. I really hate closing the sun out, don't you? But I think for filming purposes it's probably not good. Okay, so we'll just do another one of these. Just because. Let's get another bead, because typically I dropped the last one. Do you have a carpet or a floor in your craft space? Full of beads, yes. So every time I use the vacuum cleaner, you can hear the beads clanking in the canister. So here we are. So up here, 1 and 2, 3, and over. There we are, like so. Put your beads in, whichever beads you're using, your 6/0s. I quite like the look of the larger and the smaller beads here. Put that on, like so. Across and back through in the opposite direction. So that's 1 wrap. Just give that a tug. There we go. And up. So just make as many of these as you need. I mean, if you really wanted to, you could make a spectacular necklace, couldn't you? Really? There we go. Don't have to be perfect, as long as everything sort of fits on nicely. Pull that tight and then we'll just snip off the ends like so. Snip and snip. There we go. That's it. And then just squeeze those ends down so everybody's happy. It's all nice and neat. Everything is fitting into place. So make lots of these and just bend that down a little bit so it fits in. Yeah, there we go. So make a lot of these if you want to. So like I say, I've got 9 here. All right, so I'm just going to show you literally very quickly how I attach these. So I've used 3mm internal diameter jump rings for this. So you're just going to need a few little jump rings. Open up your jump ring, pop it thus, and then just through, just attach them with jump rings. It's self-explanatory. I don't have to go into how to do that really. I'll just do one more, like so, up through the little loop and attach it to the base underneath the beads on the other unit. That's all you have to do. Yeah, so just continue, and as long as you need, as long as you like, and that's your bracelet done. Now I've used literally a 4mm jump ring, like so, just on the end, like so. Isn't that pretty? And then just attach whatever sort of clasp you want. I mean, I've just used a couple of jump rings here and literally a shepherd's hook, which just fits through that jump ring there, like so. How beautiful. So like I say, I think I probably will put a patina on that actually, because I think it would look really, really pretty. But there are those very simple links which make a beautiful bracelet. Okay, so as I was faffing around with these beads and this wire, I was thinking, these would make really, really pretty earrings. Now I think if you're like me, I do like more dainty jewellery oftentimes, just, you know, because I think it's elegant, and I think copper and seed beads and copper and small beads are very, very elegant, don't you think? So let's make some tiny little elegant earrings. So let's start with this one. So I'll hoof through these guys, and again, you're going to need to hammer your little units. So I'll come back when I've done that. Righty ho, my lovelies, have we got all our little components hammered? Good, I hope we have. So obviously for a matching pair of earrings, you're going to need, obviously, 2 of each. So unless you've got 3 ears, well, there you go. So 2 and then 2. So we're going to make the partner to this one, like so. All right, so what we're going to need for this is some 11/0 seed beads. Now I really like the fact that you can see the little holes of the seed beads instead of them being sort of that way round. I like the fact that you can see the holes. Looks really cute, doesn't it? All right, so let's get some 0.4 26 gauge wire. Again, you're going to need, I don't know, 30 centimeters, perhaps slightly less, something like that. I prefer to have a little bit too much than not enough, mainly because I don't like to run out of things. So let's have a look here. Right, so lay your wire on the top like so, and just have a couple of wraps. I think I've used 2 wraps. Nope, I've used 3. Just whatever you fancy, really. 3 wraps like so, back through. Come on, pliers, there we are. 3, oh come on, why is it not working? There we go. So 3 wraps. Squidge things up a little bit. And you want your wire to come out at the back like so. So push those 3 little wraps right up like so. come in with your little seed beads. So these are, like I say, these are my Miyuki little 11-Os. Won't need that many Sammy, but never mind. And pop one onto your wire, like so. Like so. And we want to wrap it around the frame. So put your bead on, pull your wire through, like so. And as you are wrapping it, lay the bead flat, like so. Okay, then back through for a wrap. And how many wraps did I do in between? I can't remember. 2 wraps in between. So do that twice. So back through the center loop twice, like so. Pull it tight, squish everything up. You see? There we go. And then again with the next bead. Really simple. Perfect for the beginner. Put your wire through the center. And as you're doing that, keep that bead flat, like so. You can come in with your fingers. Great tools, your fingers. Push that up and through, like so. And then back through. I'll just do this once more and then we'll meet back, shall we? So that this video isn't taking 1,000 years to make, or to watch indeed. Don't want to bore the pants off everyone. Okay, so through the center, like so. And then when we get to this stage, keep that little seed bead flat and smushed up. All right, so as you can see, we'll be going round the frame, keeping those little beads flat. So I will meet you back when we're at the other end. Okay, see you in a few. Right, we're nearly at the end, my friends. Look at that, lovely. So let's just put this last one on and then we'll finish this little pretty off. So through, so you've just been winding these little beads on, and then finish it off with a couple of wraps at the end, which we will do here. And there we go. So let's do another one so that we're all equal. There we go. So let's have a look at this at the back. So as you can see here, we have some little ends to snip off. So snip and just get in there and snip that. Save your wire ends. I mean, there are quite a few things that you can do with wire ends, aren't there? So there we go. So come in with your pliers and just smush those little ends down so that everybody is happy and there are no sharp edges. See if I can see without, oh, through the lens, it's quite difficult through the camera. And there we have our little partner to this one here. So I'll just straighten those out. There we go. That'll do nicely, I think. There we are. All right, so let's get our little jump rings. So these are 3mm by 1mm jump rings. Make my own. If you want to know how to make your own jump rings very easily, top corner here somewhere, I will pop in a little video. A no talking video. Some of you will be quite happy to hear that, no doubt. It's a little video. It just shows you how I make my little jump rings without all the fancy schmancy equipment. There we are. And then just one more through and through, like so. Dainty little earrings, really, really pretty for everyday wear. If you don't want something that's hugely dangly, but you like a little bit of a dangle, there we are. How are those? That's earring number 1. How pretty are those? Okay, so let's move on. Obviously, put an ear wire on if you want to. You're going to need to, aren't you? So just put an earwire on. How cute are those? Pretty, pretty, pretty. Right, let's move on to nearing number 2. So I'll just pop these little seed beads away. Oh, let me go over and get my little golden spoon. There we are. Pop these seed beads away. We don't need those anymore. Thank you, seed beads. Off we go. So let's go for number 2. So what shall we do with number 2? Just literally dangle a little pear or droplet bead, okay, in the center. So I'm using these here. Let me just measure these if I can very quickly, just to see. I think they're probably 7mm length. All right, so if you wanted to replicate these exactly 7mm, you need to come in with your 0.5 for this one, which is 24 gauge, just because it's just a little bit more stable than 0.4. Just chop a little bit off like so. And where's my frames? Here they are. So come in with your little frame like so. Like so. All right, so we need to just basically wrap a couple of wraps here at the top like so, and pull tight like so. How many wraps did I do? Just a couple actually. Move it up, keep that one and keep that little end out of the way. Used a bit too much wire there, Sammy, but you know what, doesn't matter. And then literally super easy these. I hope you find something to you that's useful in this little video. Nothing very complicated, but very pretty at the same time. So you want them to be a little bit dangly, a little bit of movement like so. There we go. Oh, I've used a bit too much wire there. Never mind. I know you'll forgive me. Chop and chop. I will use those, certainly that longer end, for something else. And then again, just come in, squish and squish, and then just readjust things if you need to. And as you can see, that just has a little bit of movement in the middle. So that's set of earrings number 2. So just do exactly the same, put your little jump rings on and an ear wire. So that's number 2. Number 3, this is a pretty one. Look at this one. Pretty, pretty, pretty. So again, really simple, but really, really effective. So I'm using 0.5 wire again here. That's 24 gauge. All right, so let's come in with our next little unit. Fly through these ones, then you're not getting bored. So take a good, I'm going to say, how many inches is that? Probably 10 inches, something like that. Again, please don't take my measurements as the gospel, because I quite often use way too much wire. So again, pop over the top and just wrap that a couple of times. If it's hard on your fingers, obviously just come in with your pliers. Pop that up to the top. Now then, let me just double check. Yes, like so. So you want your wire to come out of the bottom and out to the right, like so. Obviously, if you're left-handed, you know, do the opposite of what I'm doing. So for this, I'm going to be using a pair of round nose pliers. Yeah, so we're going to be making these loops, 2 the same size, and then one slightly bigger and then a bigger one at the bottom. So you've sort of got a little bit of a graded size in your loops. So we come in and hold your plier about so, Actually, I'll do this the other way around, make it life a little bit easier. Like so. And if you wanted to mark it with a pen, you can do. Pull that around and through, like so, carefully, so nothing's kinking up. Right, and then keeping hold of it again, come back through for another wrap, like so, and pull. Tug it quite tight so that you have your first loop. Again, around about the similar size of loop. Come through, making sure that you butt your plier up against the wraps, like so. Things will squish out of place. If they do, just come in and make sure everything's nice and happy. How many wraps did I do in between? 2 wraps in between, like so. There we go. And then again, the first one I only did 1 wrap. Let's just ignore that little mistake there and do 2 wraps in between. Doesn't matter for this, for the sake of starting again. Let's just ignore that, shall we? So as we can see here, small, larger, and then we'll do a larger, slightly larger one. So you just bring your plier down a little bit further, make a slightly larger loop. Come on, through you go. That's it. And pull. Like so, keeping your wire nice and, smooth. Rub it through your fingers, pull your fingers down the wire, keep it nice and smooth so that there are no kinks in it. If you wanted to mark your pliers so that you know exactly where, just use a marker pen, like a Sharpie or something similar. Okay, so at the bottom here, we want to make a slightly larger one. So let's have a look. About there. So pop your plier in at the bottom, like so, and pull through all the time, pulling that wire nice and taut. Keep it nice and smooth, and pull it through again. Again, I might have used a little bit too much wire here. Like I say, every time I tell you how much wire to use, probably take a few inches off it. And for the second wrap. Okay, so as we can see here, we've got our little loops going on. All right, so now to reduce the size again now, so that it's a similar size to that one. And pull through, like so. You can readjust if you need to at this point. Just readjust your plier and then just pull your wire through, like so. Get this little one out of the way, back through for a second wrap. Like I say, ignore my little mistake there. There should be 2 wraps in between. Forgive me, forgive me. Okay, so we want 2 smaller ones now, don't we? So let's have a look. About here. So all the time, just readjust. I mean, this is quite forgiving, this design. So you can actually just, if you find that it's a little bit too big or too small, you can readjust a little bit. I think that's a bit too big, so there we go. I'll shorten that down a little bit. Tug tight, like so, and back through for a couple of wraps, like so. 1 and then 2, There we are. It's not too bad, is it? Quite easy to make. And then the last one, again, smaller wrap at the top, smaller loop at the top, should I say. I'm just going to cut that wire because it's too long and it's annoying me. So we place our plier here, through, like so. And if you need a little bit of help tugging, there you go. Just bring your chain nose pliers in. There is no shame in admitting that one's arthritic hands are proving a little problematic these days. No shame at all. So there we have our little, how cute is that? So hopefully they'll be pretty much the same size as, yeah, not too bad, not too bad. Happy with that. Right, so let's get rid of these little ends again, just to snip these little ends away and snip that little end away, and just come in and make sure everybody's happy, which they are. Lovely. So there's our third little pair of earrings. How sweet are those? So again, put your little 3mm jump rings and attach an ear wire. Beautiful, aren't they? So that's number 3. And let's go for number 4, shall we? This one is very, very beautiful. Little bit of scroll work. I don't like matchy, so, you know, if you want to do a mirror image, then that's fine. I find mirror imaging actually quite difficult at this stage in my wire wrapping career. So it's a good job I don't like matchy. So I'm going to bring in the last frame. All right, so we'll put that up there. Now, again, I'm going to be using 0.5. So I'm going to suggest you take 12, let's have a think, about 12 inches. I think 12 inches actually should be pretty good. And then we're going to find the middle point, like so. And then just come in with your plier. So we want 2 parallel wires essentially. So however you choose to do that is up to you. I've just bent my wire in 2, like so that they're next to each other, like so. So what I do at this point is wind both of them around and through, like so, and attach them like this at the top, and then around the back, like so. Now this is where you come in and just do what you fancy, really. So keeping the wires sort of next to each other, like so. Just make scrolls, circles, whatever you fancy doing, like so. Pop that around there and through if you wanted to, just whatever takes your fancy. This is where your artistic joy and artistic license comes in. Just whatever you fancy. And let's do another little scrolly bit here. Wind around. Just making sure that everything's nice and happy, which it is. Like so. Push things in. Just whatever you fancy, I think, is the order of the day. I think we'll do another one. This is where the fun comes in. Just do what you like. Here we are. I'm going to pop those through there, like so. Yeah, it's quite nice, isn't it? And then maybe back through for another, like so. And then perhaps around, let's just get rid of that. And then just around for another one. Tuck that inside the space, maybe. There we are. That's for the last one. And then, so yeah, see, there's quite a lot of wire left there. So maybe just use slightly less than I did. There we are. Whatever you like and however you want, I think, is the order of the day. Squeeze it in with your fingers. And then just get rid of the ends, like so. Snip, yeah, used a bit too much, so maybe, I don't know, 8 inches possibly would be. I'll be using those for something else, so don't worry about that. Just pop these guys into place, and then just snip these off, like so. And get rid of that end there. So, how are we finding this? Beautiful, beautiful little earrings. Perfect for everyday wear. Lovely. Doesn't look exactly like that one, but you know what? Does it matter? Does it matter? If you wanted to open that out a little bit. Wire is very forgiving, I find. So, you know, just come in, manipulate it how you want it. Very forgiving. There we are. Not a matching pair, but there you go. What they call it, I don't know. Sisters, not twins. That's it. Sisters, not twins. So I'm quite happy with that. So again, all you need to do is put on your little 3mm seed beads. Seed beads, have you heard me? Jump rings. And then pop on your ear wire. All right, so aren't they gorgeous? So we have here these beautiful little earrings, perfect for day wear, perfect for someone who prefers something a little bit more delicate. You think? They are really sweet, aren't they? And then these little ones here, which you can make with all sorts of little seed beads. I think that would look really pretty with like rainbow colours or pastels, anything you like really. All right, and of course our beautiful bracelet. So have fun making those little components. I know you're going to. Really, really easy to make, but look at what you can do with them. Absolutely gorgeous. So have fun. Let me know how you get on in the comments. And if you're interested in sharing your makes, it doesn't have to be my makes. It can be anything you like. It doesn't even have to be jewellery. I do have a little Facebook group, and I think we've got 1,100 people or so in there now, and everyone is wonderful. I will put a link down in the description box if that is what you would like to do. Come and join us and show us what you've been making. We're a happy band. All right, so have fun, and I will see you in my next video. Have a lovely week, guys.